Hello. We're going to have an interview today, but this is the artist's work. I wanted you to take a look at that beautiful carving, and you can see that we really want to talk to this person. I'd like to introduce.
Erwin Bragg,
Hi, Erwin. And today we are at a meeting of the Orange County
Gourd Society.
Are you also a member of the California Gourd Society?
I think so.
Yeah, probably. Okay, first question is, how long have you been a member of this group?
Maybe 3 years.
How'd you find out about us?
We'll say 5 years ago, I belonged to the Scroll Saw Club over in Tustin. And we had Debbie, our president, she came over just for our club meeting just to talk about gourds and stuff. I had never even heard of a gourd. I didn't even know what it was. But she was showing us things that you can do with them and paint them and all that. And I was kind of interested, but I was involved with a scroll saw at the time. And about a year later, one of the other ladies that belongs to our club now, and she was in our scroll saw club, met Debbie, and she had a lot of fun. Debbie was showing her stuff. I guess Debbie went over to...
Is this Debbie Zimmerman, the president?
Yes, yes. And she went over to Devin's house, and Devin had a lot of fun. And so she called me up and says, "Hey, you got to come over." And so I went over to Devin's house, and she showed me what Debbie had shown her. And it's like, wow, this is interesting. And
a different media.
Yes, different media, different way of doing things. And as I came to one of the first meetings, and the ladies were so friendly towards me, and any question that I had, they had no problem giving me answers and all that. And it was a very relaxing and enjoyable time that I had. And right after that, I just quit the Scroll Saw Club and been coming here ever since.
Now, before this, way back when, do you have any formal art training, like through high school, anything?
No.
You didn't take any art classes?
No.
So what was your hobbies? What was your interest with, say, early? What were your interests mainly, hobbies?
Well, all through high school, I took machine shop. And I got a job as a machinist. And as far as hobbies, I bought a 1947 Dodge Club Coupe from my high school English teacher. I paid $50 for it, and I had it painted and reupholstered and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's a hobby right there.
And I still have the same exact car.
Oh, classic.
And so I've always kind of interested in metalworking and stuff like that.
And then you did scroll saw. Now, how did they get into the scroll saw?
That's a good question. There used to be a manager over at Rockler's, and I was talking to Michael and stuff like that, and he says, and he showed me a scroll saw, and he says, "You should try it." I says, "I never wanted sawdust in my garage because I got welders and stuff like that." But I went, and just like with the gourds, it was very interesting. I liked making stuff with my hands, and so I joined. And a friend of mine was a contractor, and he had bought a scroll saw for a job that he was working on. He never was going to use it. He said, "Here." So he gave me a scroll saw, and I acquired 2 other scroll saws, and I kept progressing a little better and better. And it's kind of like the gourds. You can create things, your pictures and drawings.
Oh, yes.
And
it's very creative. But now when you went into gourds, you're really getting into some fine art now, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
That you're really stepping it up, I think.
And to be honest with you, I never thought of it. I don't even consider myself an artist. I'm a craft person. I like to make things and all that. But there's so many...
When it's one of a kind, it becomes fine art.
Yeah. But like through wall burns, you can get the stick and burn. And so you're basically just tracing it out, and you carve it. And
it's a little bit more complicated than that. I've seen some of your work.
Well, there again, being a machinist, you know, with well, I call them rotary files, but the gourd people call it their burrs.
Yeah.
But so I mean, I still got 1/4 inch shanks instead of 1/8 inch shanks and stuff like that. And so from one craft to another, they're all basically the same.
Yeah.
It's just different techniques and different media.
You're learning some things that you didn't know before.
Exactly.
So it's a learning. And have you been competing?
Yes.
Do you enjoy it?
Well,
Anxiety.
I enjoy it because I like to hear how to improve. You know, the judges always leave a note, and sometimes I agree with it, sometimes I don't. But being that I built 2 street rods, I go to cruise nights and all that stuff. Judges can be in favor of one person or a club or something like that. And it's going to be the same situation no matter what you get involved in.
It's a subjective kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think it's good because you get to show other people what can be done with gourds. I think it's good for publicity.
Yeah.
The other thing I'd like to do today is I know that you have been working on something with Debbie for the drill press, right?
Right.
So I'd like to go over there and I'd like to have you show it.
Oh, sure.
Okay, let's do that. This is the drill press. Will you explain what it is and what you've done to adapt it?
Okay. Well, the drill press came from Harbor Freight, and a friend of mine bought it. And my friend was getting into engraving. So all he wanted was a base and a table. So the mechanical part, the motor and all that, he was just going to throw it in the trash. So I said, no, so I brought it home. So I went to Shore Metals and I bought the metal tube and mounted it. And I had it mounted on a bench outside of my garage because I was doing what they called intarsia. That's when you're working with wood and making pictures out of that. And I had a sanding thing and all that. I don't do that anymore because I'm playing with the gourds. So I thought, well, I have another drill press inside my garage, and with my wife, I've been having her clean the inside.
Oh, so that would clean the inside of a gourd.
Right.
Oh.
So I went ahead, went over to Shore Metals, and I bought some steel plate, some square tubing, and I welded it all together. And drilled some holes, and got some holes for mounting. And Debbie and I, Debbie Zimmerman, messaged each other back and forth. And so we decided on a router table, and we bought some better wheels and stuff for it.
Wow, nice.
And so we put it together Wednesday, and Sue Fowler had a piece of plywood, and so we used that, and we mounted everything together, and I put some an aluminum sleeve inside, a billet piece, and it's bolted down in here, so it's steady and sturdy, and I'm not a big fan of trying to do it with a hand drill, and you're holding.
This is good. This is going to do it pretty quickly.
Yeah. So you just take your gourd and you know, if you turn it on, just like anything, it just
Cleans the inside.
cleans the inside.
Well,
yeah.
thank you very much.